Chest pump inbound. I say, God damn it, chest is about to get pumped to shit. But I had a little bit of a thing to say. Out of all the fitnesses, but out of all out of all the fitnesses that there are, I'm talking Planet, Anytime, and Lifetime. Those are the three that comes to mind. Not all standing on business. I'll be real with you. LA Fitness, literally maybe 50 of them, or probably more like 10 of them, are actually in LA. BS. Planet Fitness, I don't know. This is not really a fit planet yet, at least not for us. And that's not to dog at anybody specifically, but just looking at the statistics, at least in the States, our percentages need to change. Anytime Fitness. Anytime Fitness, they know what they're doing. They had a core value. Fitness at any fucking time. So that's probably the only membership that I'm really fucking well, I've never had any problems with because every anytime is literally open 24 hours indefinitely. Planet Fitness needs to up their grind. I mean, I remember 24-hour Planet Fitnesses. I remember when it was 24 hours, 7 days a week. They had it stuck right on the front glass, 24/7. Now, unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of 24/5s, and I'm seeing a lot of like closing at nines. Which, if you're doing a regular day routine, whatever. But for whatever reason, a late night, potentially even early morning, potentially even early morning lift. Sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's got to be done. So if you don't have anything to actually fulfill that need, fuck, I can totally kill a night, at least a night of fucking gains. But all that to say that that's where we're headed for this chest day. So standard approach, pressing, flies of some variety, as well as some kind of concentric pressing. I'm sure this gym's going to have a couple chest presses that I might like. But if not, then I can just stick to incline Smith machine, incline barbell, plus some cables, and that can be it. I mean, if you stick me in like a hotel gym that had an incline, no, a Smith machine with an adjustable bench, plus some adjustable cables, as long as they were like decently wide, no reason to complain at all. That could be a perfect fucking chest day right there. Heavy pressing satisfied by the Smith, and then every variation of flies and cable pressing I want, just with adjustable cables. It's not a it doesn't have to be too crazy, and it depends on the day. I mean, with my leg days, I want to make my pressing a bit more varied. Like I want to get to the point of kind of leg or quad, maybe quad endurance is the right word, to be able to do like two sets of leg extensions as the warm up sets, and then two good sets of leg presses, maybe two sets of like machine squats, and then like two sets of hack squats or something to finish off. Uh, Last leg day, I just did three sets of leg press, and that was like I was pretty much done with the lift at that point. And not from like an energy, like oh I can't do anymore, but just from like the feeling of my quads, which is kind of what I'm grading my lifts on right now. Like my last arm day, biceps was 5 sets, triceps was 8. It's not an arbitrary number. It's just however many sets I feel like it takes to fully kind of fatigue whatever muscle it is I'm training, as well as have it be pretty maximally pumped. Which, in like a bodybuilding set kind of style, I think kind of go hand in hand. It's not a crazy direct. Like you can have a good lift without being crazy pumped, and you can be crazy pumped with having like kind of a scrappier lift. But for the most part, those two things are going to go hand in hand. So that's the plan here. Then get back to the crib, eat something, which is going to be the. I feel like that's my ender statement on pretty much every lift, which is to be fucking expected, man. I mean, that's my mo right now. That's my commanding officer has given me orders from above, saying we better get grubbing. Now it's a little bit of a weird relationship because that CO is me. I'm the one telling me to eat all this food. But it's not something you can slack behind because it's going to show. No successful bulk has ever been done by not eating in a surplus. But I think that's enough talking. Let's cut to some moving of weights. Let's cut to some screaming, cuts to some pumping, cuts to some sweating. Just when you thought I couldn't glaze Anytime Fitness is enough, this is the craziest Anytime I've ever been to. Now, that might not mean anything to you if you don't have an Anytime membership, but a lot of them are very, well, small, kind of condensed, classic kind of pieces of equipment, maybe a chest press here and there, some normal kind of cables. But this one is fucking nuts. It's got its own kind of back room with extra heavy weight. So I think we're starting off today with incline dumbbell bench instead of whatever else I was thinking. It's also got a flat hammer strength chest press like I like. Yeah, the only reason that this lift could go haywire would be if I didn't bring it. I'm usually one to say like, oh, you don't need fancy equipment. You don't need a nice gym to have a good workout. But dude, I'm not gonna lie, it helps. It's fucking nice. And this is to the non-lifter, me saying this, it wouldn't even like fucking compute in somebody's brain. Like it probably sounds like somebody walking into a Starbucks and saying like, this is the craziest Starbucks location I've ever been to. It's got, holy crap, it's got 3 whipped cream machines and 4 blenders. Oh, but this is nice. So pre-chest, I want everything related to my shoulder joint, as well as everything that's going to be involved with the actual pressing itself to be warm. So what that usually ends up looking like is just camping out here at the D handle, doing this kind of rotation of just warm up stuff. This is not crazy. This is not gonna not doing this to failure. And this definitely does not count as any working sets. But for me to sit here, kind of bounce around, get my back warmed up, get my shoulders warmed up, rotator cuff especially, and then a little bit of chest activation too from doing some of those single arm presses. When I go to the dumbbell room and I pick up whatever I start with, I'm not going to feel crunchy. I'm not going to feel nervous because I know that everything that's going to be, well, let's just say activated is already fucking warm. So I'm going to camp out here for a few more minutes and we can cut to the first working set. So regular gym, regular everything. But then we walk over here towards this fancy pants extra dark room. What might be in this cave? If you have an Anytime membership, this should be fucking spanking your pants off immediately. Dumbbells to 150s. Oh my God, this is perfect. All right, so I've worked my way up 80s, 95s, 110s, 125s. Let's feel the 140s. And the 125s felt pretty freaking light. But I don't want to jump straight to the 150. That's a recipe for pec rippage. But let's feel the 140s, as long as everything feels good. Next, it'll be 150s for a real working one. Yeah, perfect. I've never done a working set of dumbbell bench above 150 pounds. I tried the 165s once and I hurt myself, but I don't think it was because of the weight. It was the bench was like really wide. Like this is what I'm used to here, but it was like a fat pad, and it just put me in a weird position, I think. But let's get amped up to some Ariana Grande and go nuts. Maybe scoot this fan over when I throw the weight down. Oh. Okay. Whew. Oh. Man, those are fucking heavier than I remember. It's been months since I've done incline dumbbell. Well, let's run it up a few more times. Oh my god. All right. So, in no fucking possible way am I get. My apologies, but there's no way I'm gonna look at a pair of fucking 150s plus a mirror, and then additionally, you get yourself a badass environment. In no way would I ever think it's a good idea to approach this with a calm mentality, with a zen fucking peace of mind. It's like, oh, let's make sure we do a comfortable set here. It's like, no, dude, the crazier and more excited you can get before every set. I mean, I don't know about you, I guess, but speaking from experience, those are the sets which I get to look back on and say, okay, that was fucking crazy. Because I think there's a certain like disillusionment that comes with proper form and like perfectly executed reps. I'm not saying these are bad reps. I mean, these are actually pretty reasonable, but I think there's a certain like misunderstanding that people have with what muscular failure is and the degree in which you can actually reach it. You know, I think people are, at least a good portion of them, might think, okay, this is getting hard. I can't really push anymore. That's failure. Rack it. The same dude is never going to make any substantial gains. You know, your muscular fucking failure in an ideal world, I mean, we're living in the regular world, you never even reach it. If you were to connect, and I say this exact same analogy every time, if I were to connect electrodes to my chest and like manually zap them into contracting, I bet I could get fucking 5 more reps than what I can physically get on my own. So what that tells me is the limit is basically unattainable. But for me to try my absolute hardest to get there, that's the real fucking bread and butter of the workout. These first 5 reps, they don't do shit. All they do is fatigue me, but it's those last 5 where you're seriously pushing it, and each one feels like you might fucking drop the dumbbells on your face. Now, of course, don't do that, but that's where your real gains are. It's not the easy part. If you're trying to dig all the way down to the center of the earth, dude, the first 3 feet are just fucking soil. You can do that with your bare hands. It's once you get deeper that you got to dig through some fucking goddamn bedrock. But no more talking. Let me go nuts here. One more. Fuck. All right, usually I'm not a form coach, but I will say this because I've been seeing this a lot and it's actually fucking dangerous. And me doing that little talk just reminded me. I do not feel comfortable watching somebody do dumbbell bench and seeing their elbows go like this. I see a lot of this. Maybe not this crazy, but they're bringing their arms down, but they're not keeping their forearms vertical, or at least like close to it. So what's going to happen is like you're turning this into a chest movement from a chest movement into like a chest and triceps movement. And if your triceps give out, that's where this is going to happen. Worst case scenario, apart from like, ripping your shit off like that. But easy mitigation, right? Just try to go a little wider because now you're only exerting force through your arm directly into the dumbbell. It's not going to wobble on you, so maybe maybe do some forearm training, strengthen your forearms, then you'd be less likely to losing your balance. But I just saw that a couple days ago and it was really fucking freaking me out a little, which, I mean, if you get to the point where you're doing the hundreds, you probably got it down. But if you're kind of newer character, that might not be so obvious. So that's my form tip here. If you're doing dumbbell, try to keep your forearms pretty vertical. Plus, you get more chest and less tricep. But let me get amped up. We got a few more. I'm not going to just do one more. I want to do as many as it takes until I can't do about 9-ish good reps. Because I just don't have access to 150s. I need to find a gym close to where I live that has them. Because I've been missing out. Dumbbells are fucking sick. Perfect ender. Let's go back to the main room. Ah, jeez. Now I gotta put these things away. Fuck. Oh my god, these are fucking heavy. I might have accidentally spoken my own workout into fruition when I was talking about doing just a heavy press and then some fly base work after. So let's get started and kind of go by feel, but I don't foresee too many more sets until I'm fully pumped. So let's just pick a better song and go nuts. Come on. Okay. One more, same style. Then we go from there. Okay, starting to drop some. Okay. Let's finish with something a little lighter. Squeeze a little bit longer. That'll be the end of it. The end game. I have reason to believe this is going to be the finisher rep. So how am I going to go about that? Here's my idea. I'm going to do a little lighter, but, and I just mean like one notch lighter. But portion A of the set, I guess you could say portion one, but if the reps are numbered, it feels kind of weird to mix one and one. May as well go alphanumeric. But kind of higher upper pec focus flies here. Like, though it may not look it, I am really trying to only flex like my upper chest and nothing else. Something that helps with that is I try to imagine pulling not just with my hands in their entirety, but kind of with like the bottom of my palm too, in almost an onward kind of fashion, like this. Onward. Like underhanded inward kind of fashion. Just helps me feel it. Because I know for a fact, if I were to try to do flies with my hands over top each other like this, I mean, it's what it's doing a front raise. But first like this, burnout, drop the weight by like half. I'm talking only going to do 25 pounds. And then try to do big stretch and a solid squeeze in the bottom. Chest should be pumped to a goddamn PSI well beyond a 2x safety factor. So let's get after it. Boy. Yeah. There. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Ah. Yeah. Let's find some badass lighting. Chest complete. Okay, I lied. No shoulders. Chest is fucking chest is enough. And man, some of those fucking dude, I what's nice about it, which I mean, I'm so used to it now, it doesn't even feel like a thing. But what's really nice about recording all these sets is in between, I can watch them back and it gives me a couple of fucking bonus points towards the lift. For one thing, if I'm doing legs and I get to go back and watch a replay of like an insane set of squats, that gets me amped up for the rest of the lift. But also, well, I guess the same shit. But going back and watching those incline dumbbell benches, dude, fucking diabolical. 150 in this hand, 150 in this hand. That's fucking sick. I think dumbbells are getting back on the menu. So I might have to make I might have to turn my chest days into a little bit more of a trek and actually go to a gym that has like stocked 150s. One of the gyms I go to does, but I don't like the benches. You know, like I was telling you how I hurt myself because the bench was too wide. Those are the only benches they have. So maybe I should just see if I can not pull some strings, but maybe say it's like, have you ever tried a light fitness bench? My personal favorite. But no point yapping about inconsequential stuff right now. We're gonna see just how fucking pumped I am. Well, I feel parasocial every time I say shit. I'm like, let's go. It's like we're gonna instead of I'm. Oh my goodness. Well, that's not a problem. There's a big ass like pegboard over here where like you do climbing like that. I'm not even gonna try it. I think I'm a little too heavy now. Probably just fucking hurt myself. Let's get a little extra zoom in here. Even just standing here, I feel like a total meatball. Oh my God, I love it. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Holding a fucking vacuum post chest day combined with bulked. Jesus. May as well run a 100-meter fucking dash. But chest complete. Incline dumbbell has not lost any of its allure. If anything, it's gained some from the fact that I haven't done it for a while. But I think that's my cue. Throw it back in the fucking routine. So, not even 50% of the way to being done with this bulking phase. I mean, it's not going to be groundbreaking, but I'm getting so fucking excited to look at myself knowing I'm a 280 pounder. We're already in new territory. 260 was the PR before. Now we're already at 265, not even halfway through this bulk. Dude, we are getting big. But no more pumping, no more posing. Let's go eat. That's where the real gains are made. There we go. Chest complete. I've got a pickup order for some fucking wings from a B-Dubs that's like 2 blocks away. So I'm going to make a little YouTube post for some Q&A questions. So this is going to be an early bird gets the worm type situation because I'm really going to only answer the first, well, probably the ones that come in like the first 10 minutes or so. But let's go park this thing and get into some interesting topics. There we go. All right, I've let this little, I think I've let this thing simmer enough. We've got some good cues in here, some good questions. First question, so it gets a little bit of extra respect. Beans 00001 says that's a cool looking cat because on the post I added the picture of Rio just standing in the dryer. He must have liked it because it was still warm. Just took like a load of laundry out. But thanks, man. I appreciate that. And then second comment, Ariak52. How are you, Sam? And that comment itself got 2 likes. That means 2 people also wanted to hear it answered. Hey, this is perfect. And I'm not oh, I mean, it's just nice. It's good to be locked in. To have a legit kind of routine with some long-term progression at the end of it. I mean, I couldn't be fucking better. The only thing that would make me better if well, dude, I don't know. Things are going pretty fucking well right now. Not to jinx it, so let's do a little knock on wood. But no, this is sick. Actually, the only thing that could improve it would be if I could find a new show that I like seriously can dive into. Because I'm getting not like a loss. I mean, I'm watching oh crap, I don't know the name of it. Green guy. This is like an older anime. He dies like saving a kid. He gets hit by a car. Ghosts are trying to reincarnate him with like this egg. I totally forget the name, but it's like all about fighting. It's like an old 90s show. That's kind of cool. I'm a couple episodes into that, but I don't even remember the guy's name, so I guess I'm not that into it. But if I could find some cool media, that'd be nice. Because it's good to really dive into something like that in a lifting context. Because then when you're eating your meals, dude, they go down like nothing if you're sitting there really watching a fucking show. I mean, it's such like a phenomenon that can actually be a problem if you're trying to diet down. Because if you're, if you're just mindlessly watching a show or like TV or something, dude, snacking just goes hand in hand, like it's a fucking, like it's your second nature. But that would be nice. So I'm on the lookout. One Piece episode a week is not cutting it, and I feel like I've seen everything else. There's another comment I'll get to it, but somebody said watch Sons of Anarchy. I think I might have to. My dad likes it, so he's told me that before. Hollow Dev, what's your Clash deck? I can actually pull that up right now. I don't even have to try to remember, but I'm 96% sure it's Prince, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Minion Horde, Inferno Dragon, um, Clone, Mirror, Rage, and Skeleton King. That's been a pretty solid combo for me so far. I used to do Skeleton Army too, instead of the Skeleton King, but that was a little bit too spammy. Anytime anybody had Zapper arrows, I was fucking screwed. Let's keep scrolling up here though. Oh yeah, 24K Brown 22. He said watch Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, I think you might be right there. Lackey Milligan 9212 says, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 10 duck-sized horses? I think that's pretty obvious. The duck-sized horses. I mean, the size difference is so crazy. It's not even like the damage would just be not even comparable. A horse-sized duck would whoop your ass. A duck-sized horse is just like a small dog. How afraid are you of a Shih Tzu? I think that's the question here. So, no brainer. Let's keep scrolling. Tiny Dog 0731. Sam, would you ever try psychedelic mushrooms? That's an interesting question. I would say be careful. I would say be extremely careful with something that is going to legitimately rewire your brain and could potentially. I mean, we've seen let's just say, the wrong situation happen after that, where somebody's life is completely derailed. I wouldn't want to fuck with the powers that be. We barely even know jack about your brain as it is. You really want to mess with it? So I would say probably don't do that. Probably don't do that. Let's see here. Let's keep scrolling. What's your weirdest gym experience? I don't know if I've really had any weird gym experiences, honestly. Um, yeah, nothing. I kind of wish I had a little bit more of a story to tell you there, but it's like nothing crazy really happens. All the gyms that I go to, the populace is pretty chill. Like I'll hear some stories where it's like, um, one guy warned me. He's like, "Dude, Sam, you better be careful, bro. You might not want to be in here tonight. This guy keeps fucking going crazy. It's like this black dude. He's like screaming at everybody. Like one of the guys at this gym I know. He's kind of a younger dude. Um, he was like almost getting in a fight with him because the guy was causing. I don't know. I don't know. Somebody probably just looked at him the wrong way. But I never anything crazy. I only hear crazy stories. This isn't really weird, but when I was at school, there was this like power lift or no, like strongman couple, and the girl told me once. So this is not even a weird story. It's just like a kind of a fucking tragic story. She ended up being all right after like a while, but she was telling me squatting like I don't know how many pounds because she was strong and still is strong. I'm talking upwards of 400, if not more. But some girl on the second cardio level had like a full hydro flask full of water and dropped it right onto her, completely crumbled with like ribs were fucking snapped. Awful. But no, I don't know. I don't really have any weird gym experiences. So sorry to disappoint you. Blame it on Lauren. Give me some more time. I'll probably get some better stories there. Do you have days where you just really don't want to get up and do anything? And if so, what do you think about to get yourself up? Not so much now, because with the whole day and everything, and like with the videos and stuff, now I'm extra spoiled. Like my routine is basically wrapped around the lifting bodybuilding side of things now. Like I kind of forget about it, but like I'm a full-time bodybuilder. Like this is insane. But before, when I had other kind of responsibilities to bounce around, especially when I was younger, because I was much less like restrictive with my time, what I would do is I'd put off the lift till like 10 or like midnight, not for any particular reason. It was just like I was like I had to catch up on homework, or I didn't do some project, or like just whatever. So I'm sitting there in bed. It's like midnight. I got to wake up at 7 minimum. So like actually more like 6:30 to get up, get dressed, and go to school. So this is back in high school, like this would have been like year two, year one and a half or so deep. But I'm laying down, and at the time, apart from just like watching like Callum videos and a bunch of like every other bodybuilder back in 2018 that anybody would watch for motivation, I was watching Baki. Baki was the shit that really got me amped up. It's like I'm sure the same shit is for some of you with Dragon Ball Z or anything else like that. Like it's just a real kind of, I mean, just like meathead kind of targeted show. But I'm seriously getting into Baki, year 1.5 lifter, and I'm laying down, like I'm in bed, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, what would Baki do right now? Would he get up? Would he fucking go to sleep and skip out on his training? Or would he go hard? Now then it was like, all right, come on, I'm not a wuss. Let's get real here. Do a chest day in the basement gym. So I was extra spoiled because my dad would let me, he bought some like a $300 something power rack, and we already had a barbell with a bunch of plates and dumbbells up to 50 pounds and a little dumbbell rack. So for me to get a home gym in the basement, the real chore of it was for me to clean out the old office space and make room. But having a home gym really kind of helped. But it's, if you can kind of lock yourself into some kind of mentality where like, okay, all right, I know I want it. I know I want legit gains. I got to show it right now. Throw your fucking blanket off, jump out of bed, and get real. Which is actually probably a more fucking important situation for your morning cardio or your morning lift if that's when you have to work out. But it's the times when my routine is the best in terms of my sleep schedule and like staying on top of all my meals and everything else. It's when I can not only go to bed on time, so I wake up at a reasonable hour, but it's when I can wake up, blankets off, slam a liter of water with some electrolytes, fucking, get my day started immediately, go to cardio, I'm awake, and then get everything kind of moving. So it's really just, as soon as you get a little bit of a call to action, act on it. Because as soon as you start saying, I'll do it in an hour, I'll do it later, I'm a little bit tired, it's like, dude, if you come home from whatever you had to do all day, you've got a full day of momentum. You're moving around. An object in motion is going to stay in motion unless an outward force stops it. And the strongest outward force that's going to stop somebody from going to do a sick leg day is coming home to a warm bed, taking their shoes off, and getting comfortable. That's an incredibly strong pulling force that's going to suck out your energy. So just try not to do that if that situation matches you. Back when I was in when I was in high school, before I would go to my diving practices at night, I would just go straight to the gym after school, in between. And then when I was so I'm just trying to pick out times where I really had to like lift at a consistent basis. And then in the summertime when me and Mark would work for the city doing the street painting, I'd bring my gym bag with my gym clothes and I'd go straight to the Planet Fitness at at 2:30 when we got off. So I didn't lose that day's momentum. Because if you come home and you take a nap, I mean that's an hour and a half fucking gone. Whereas if you can just like get into it, as soon as you've drank your pre-workout and you're driving to the car, it's no longer a question. By the time you're actually getting there, play some loud music, you're in motion, right? You're gonna keep going. Now I mean, it depends on you, but anytime that I've been extra groggy or I was extra, I was busy or I had shit to do or I didn't get a lot of sleep and it's late. I mean, I've done lifts absurdly late, like had a regular day schedule and it's now for whatever reason 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't do my workout. Oh. Now, of course, it'd probably be better just get as much rest as possible and come back the next day. But in terms of having that dog in you, right? Get up, get your pre-workout. Once you're moving, usually you don't stop. So that's my kind of tip to you. Just try not to linger because the more that you just sit there like, oh man, I'm getting pretty tired. I'm not sure I really need to. Maybe I should just make it. You're just going to start negotiating with yourself. And of course, your subconscious doesn't want you to go do a crazy workout if you're tired. If you're tired, like if you're actually kind of sleepy, your subconscious is going to do everything in its power to make you say, I'll just do it tomorrow. And if you do that too many times in a row, you're no longer going to be in a state of gains. You're going to be in a state of fucking lames, right here, no progression. So just try to get yourself into motion as quick as possible, which I know easier said than done. But if you can do it, you'll probably enjoy it. And then when you get to actually come back, sit down, you finish your lift. Oh, that was hard, but I did it. That's a good feeling. So, plus, if that's not going to work for you, watch the Tom Platz video or the Tom Platz audio clip where he's like, "Never go home a fucking loser. I never want to be that fucking loser guy. I'd rather die than be that loser guy." Like that kind of shit. Watch look up some hype edits. That'll get you going as well. But good question. That was a fucking long one. So thank you Connor HS4VB. Let's see. How's Pookie feeling recently from Magnet Arcan? Already said that. We're feeling pretty good. What's your goal from M7M DADM? Get bigger. And everything else that comes along with it. That is the fucking goal. And afterward, I'll just maintain a large size for a while, eventually downgrade. It's really not in anybody's interest to stay a 260 pounder or above indefinitely. That's not the case. Eventually, you're going to see me probably a 200 pounder, but that's a long way in the future. So until then, getting bigger is goal number one. What are your thoughts during a hard lift so that you get into the zone? Bench press, rows, or squats? Bench press applies perfectly to today. I don't know if I've got any specific thoughts. Like, it's not words, like I don't have a mantra, but like when I'm sitting there and I hit play and that like tore up is about to get to the good part with the drop, and I throw my phone down. It's, it's not even words, it's like fucking animalistic, but it's really just like just kind of huffing and puffing, getting excited, knowing I just want to try to go as crazy as possible. And as long as everything feels good, if my shoulders feel good, if my chest feels good, my elbows are good, I haven't like pulled anything, I don't have like a forearm tweak, then it's really just like, okay, I've got like 20 seconds of maximum output. Let's get amped up for it. And having some good tunes helps. I'm not one to say like, oh, I can have a good workout without music. I don't need it. Dude, I definitely like it. It just adds to your fucking enjoyment of the lift. And I think it's kind of a good I mean, I guess you could say performance enhancer in a way. Now, it depends on the guy. I know a couple dudes who they don't like the idea of relying on anything for their workout to the point where they won't even take creatine. The guy won't even fucking take pre-workout, no music. He's like, I don't want to. What if I forget it? What if I forget my headphones? What if I don't have pre-workout at the house? I don't want to rely on it because what happens when I become dependent? And my argument is always like, dude, did you depend on your car to drive to the gym today? Do you depend on like electricity to fucking live? Sure, it may not be I mean that could be taken away from you somehow, but that's something I feel like you have control of. So you're not going to catch me not taking pre-workout because I don't want to be afraid of not having it. But let's move on to the next one. So thank you, h.i.d. underscore dash bones, all caps. Let's see, let's keep scrolling. Let's keep on scrolling. What's the best vitamins to use daily? Like, which are the most important that you use? Nothing too crazy. I mean, I've gone through phases where I had like 20 different tubs of like, okay, I want to make sure I get my calcium and my magnesium and my zinc and my. They just take your multivitamin, take your men's multivitamin gummy, take your fish oil, if necessary. Right? And anybody that needs it knows it. You take all your liver and organ kind of support stuff, your niacinamide and your NAC and everything else. But for the most part, if you're taking your multivitamin and your fish oil, you're cool. That's pretty much all that's necessary. Who do you main in Mario Kart? Reasonable question from Fried Chicken 500. Oh, and Tony Everyday 19 asked the last question. I'm a Metal Mario kind of guy. I've racked up a couple hundred hours on Super Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS. That was probably the one I played the most. Yeah, Metal Mario. Not sure what kart, probably like the race car one with the slick tires. Dude, that was probably the best. I don't know about all this 250cc shit on the Switch. That's a little bit too much. I'm used to simpler days, but that's a good one. Let's keep going up here. Will you go pro? Asks you boy 175. I think so. I mean, I'm getting pretty 265 off season for my weight at this leanness, and we're getting close to competitive bodybuilder size. I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I could go pro tomorrow. Uh, I mean, I guess we're going to find out once I start competing, but I think so. I don't have any doubt because my end goal of getting, as big as I want to be is going to be like, kind of pro caliber. But that's not really the point. It's like I kind of just want to be that big for its own sake first. But if you get that big, why wouldn't you compete? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, do all your grinding first, and then once you're huge, step on stage. And I mean like crazy huge. So that's kind of been my approach so far. Chuck 0659, do you riz up? Surprised that comment only got one like. Look, man, I'm no baby Gronk. Right. I'm no baby Gronk. But I can't confirm or deny that the Rizzler has taken a reasonable effect on me. So we'll just keep it at that. Sam, when do I know that I've taken the bulk too far? Asks Nawaf Saad 9044. Very reasonable question. And I would say it's once you no longer see any muscular gains and you're purely packing on body fat. And maybe even a step before that, it's if you're just kind of like you can tell you're putting on more fat tissue than you are muscle. Because usually the problem with people bulking up is they're not eating enough food, but there's also an issue where you're overeating. You're eating too many sweets, you're taking the dirty bulk a bit too far. And if you eat an excess of calories that's beyond what you can actually utilize for muscle growth, then all that's going to happen is you're going to pack that extra energy in the way that your body knows how to do it. It's like, oh, we better eat, we better save this energy internally. Boom. Now you're 10% body fat heavier. So there's a sweet spot of surplus where you are gaining a little bit of fat. It's just the nature of it. But you're also gaining pretty much as much muscle as you can, right? But if you increase the calories too high into the red line, then yeah, you're going to keep gaining probably the same amount of muscle, but you're also just going to be packing on body fat, which sure, you're watching the scale go up. It's like, holy crap, dude, I'm 240. But if 20 pounds of that was fat, then you're kind of screwing yourself over. Because if you want to lean down afterwards, then now you've got fucking 20 pounds of fat tissue as a crazy chore to get off. And that's it's not a quick process. So that's where, right, as much as it's usually my take is like, dude, you got to eat more to fucking grow. If you're eating too much and you're putting on too much fat tissue, that's a cue to decrease the surplus to a little bit more reasonable range. But solid question there. Let's keep moving up here. KG6160. Why do you not count the protein in foods such as oats and rice? And should I be doing the same or should I count it all? That's a good one. I've got a take there. For the most part, now when you're dieting, it's a little bit trickier because proteins do have calories. So if you don't count all your like rice, protein, everything else, then you're literally just not tracking all your calories and you're going to put yourself at a higher calorie input than you think you are. So when I'm dieting, I do count it. But if I'm trying to bulk up, I want all 250 grams of the fucking protein I'm trying to eat to be from dedicated protein sources, right? Animal products, dairy, eggs, fish, ground beef, steaks, things like that. So, if I got an extra 30 grams of protein from like the bread that I had on that turkey sandwich or from like my oatmeal, because all of it has like 2 grams per serving, it's just not like a complete protein. And I'm sure sometimes it is. It's like, well, Sam, if you have peanut butter on your bread, then the peanut protein combined with the wheat protein actually completes a complete protein, which, I mean, something like that is worth looking into, of course. But for the most part, I mean, if you ever look up like the protein grading scale, it's pretty much a grading scale of 0 to 100 of the overall kind of quality. Like it's a combination of factors like how well it can be absorbed, how well it can be digested. It's like, is it covering the full amino acid array, right? And foods that actually score really well on that test are animal products, right? Steaks, eggs, dairy, fish, shit like that. And then as the score progressively gets lower and lower and lower, that's where you're going to see like wheat protein, oatmeals, like I think beans are actually kind of high up there, maybe in the middle or so, like legumes. But it's just not a quality source of protein, you know? Like BCAAs, that's not a complete protein, man. That's supplementing like your leucine and your I forget like the top four that gets added, like your glutamine and stuff. But like essential amino acids that actually complete the whole array, those are what you're really maximizing. So in my mind, it makes sense. If I want 250 grams of protein, I want 250 grams of like complete proteins. And anything else that's incomplete just gets kind of added on top. That's sort of my thought process there. But that's a good one. I haven't talked about that for a little while. Chuck 0659 is. Did I already answer one from you? All right. Well, you get double. Are you wearing a wig? No, but I think about that. Next time I get a haircut, I mean, the sides are gonna be buzzed, just gonna have some fluff on top. But what do you think? Should I make a wig out of the hair that I get cut off and like really sew it onto a hat like those Halloween costumes, so you wouldn't know that I had a haircut? Maybe if you see me with my hair looking slightly weird one day, give me some accusations. Prince Kitty, did I do my cardio today? You're goddamn right I did. Is that a real question? Are you serious? Is like for real? Is that a real question? How about this? I'll flip it on you. Did you do your cardio today? And you don't have to answer because that's rhetorical. I know you didn't. Or if you did, I mean badass. Keep moving. Flonia8157. What's your opinion on the Mega Knight evolution? A lot of Clash questions. Uh Interesting. I only saw one clip where it's doing like an uppercut and sending the opposing enemy like 5 blocks backward. So it's like it'd totally nerf if somebody did like a giant and then mirrored it. But I don't know. I never got into the Mega Knight, so maybe if I lose to it too many times, I might try to adapt to the meta. But that's reasonable. Here we go. Chopper140. Lately, I've been struggling with insomnia because of overtraining. Do you have any recommendations for winding down the body after getting carried away in the gym? I drink chamomile and it helps, but I might need something else. That's a good one. But I'm not really the guy to ask. I've never had a problem crashing. And it might just be like ADHD brain where I'm not so like jittery from stimulants. Like if I drank a monster, I'd be able to fall asleep. Now that sleep wouldn't be crazy quality because I've got all sorts of I forget what is it. What's the shit that gets released when you have caffeine that like makes you awake? It's like adenosine? That doesn't sound right. But either way, it's like I can always pass out, so I don't have a crazy problem. You might have to look it up. Hot shower, cold air in the room, drink enough water. That's really all I could say. Maybe try melatonin. But I've gone through phases where I use melatonin, but I didn't really notice a difference. So I'm not really the guy to ask there. But that's definitely something you want to consider. Maybe try not to lift so early or so close to when you go to bed. Because if somebody's extra sensitive to caffeine, and then just the stress and like the fucking exertion from the workout, that could totally throw you off. So if your sleep is a little bit more sensitive, then you might just have to lift earlier in the day. I mean, it's pretty much recommended by all like energy drinks and pre-workouts that you shouldn't even take this like 5 hours before you're about to go to sleep because it's going to interfere with your whole REM cycle and everything else. So maybe I should take that advice and start lifting earlier too. But either way, I think that's the only tip I could tell you. Maybe start slamming some magnesium before you go to bed. I hear that's sometimes that'll help. Extra large nachos. Best Mr. Olympia physique ever, in your opinion? Mine was 2009 Jay Cutler. I don't have every roster pulled up in my mind, but ooh, I don't know if I could think of a specific year, but I know that. Well, actually, this isn't even. I'm going to kind of twist your question around to Mr. Olympia caliber, but instead of a specific guy, more of a specific show. Dude, every time I see any edit or any just like repost of the Night of Champions, oh my god, that was fucking sick. I want to see more shows like that with like the one-on-one kind of call outs with the specific pose. Like I know it makes it a little trickier to judge because it turns it into like a point system, but that's always the most exciting. I really want to see a Night of Champions style return, but that's probably what I could say. A lot of the Sean Ray kind of build, real smaller in the waist, but like massive fucking arms and legs. That's the kind of stuff that really gets me excited. Thoughts on mesocycles and prioritizing specific muscle groups over time. Also, I feel like I can't get a good pump unless I do an insane drop set with assisted reps. Am I just too powerful for straight sets anymore? Ask Jugs.00. So let's start with the first one. Do I think prioritizing specific muscle groups is a good move? I would say yeah. I would definitely say yeah. Now, I don't know about necessarily prioritizing specific ones. More so, I'm actually used to having to back off on muscle groups that are ahead of the game. Like I just took like 2 months kind of turning back into like an on and off thing, like once every 2 weeks or so. And I haven't done shoulders consistently for like 3 years. Now I'm a little bit spoiled. They got so many androgen receptors, your shoulders just fucking blow up. But that's what I'm more used to. So if you've got a lagging muscle group, then yeah, maybe try to back off your volume on everything else and really smack it around. But I'd be kind of more concerned with trying to just back off on anything that's jarringly ahead, and then make sure you just train the rest of your fucking build, as hard as you can. And if you have something lagging, I don't think it's always an issue of just that the muscle group is somehow behind. I think the issue is really it's just not getting trained with enough stimulation. So you may just have to rethink your game. For me, my triceps, I think, are picking up the growth pace extra as of late because I've changed my tricep training up a little bit. Doing a lot of squeezing stuff, a lot of long eccentrics, really kind of feeling a deep kind of stretch and burn all the way from my elbow down to where it ties into like my rear delt, my lat, and I've noticed some gains there. So if you got something behind, maybe look at your training. Have you been doing it the same way for the last like year straight? Like, I'm not going to say shocking the muscle. Like, if I do a chest day that's flies first versus pressing first, I'm not going to say, whoa, my muscle just got fucking shocked. But if you've been training the same way and it's not giving you the results that you want, then that's just kind of an indicator like, okay, maybe I should change up the stimulus, right? If you throw a fucking water balloon with blue paint at the wall a million times, it's going to be blue every time. If you want a different color, you got to change up what's going to happen beforehand. So that's my thoughts there. And then I feel like I can't get a good pump unless I do insane drop sets. I don't know if I would say you're too powerful for straight sets, but I've been there. I've gone through very long phases of time. I mean, kind of in my earlier years of working out, where every lift, every set was a drop set. I wouldn't even do a straight set because in my mind I was like, okay, drop sets are the best method because I can really keep burning out. Like, sure, I hit failure with the 50s, but I can still do the 25s. So if it's working, keep doing it. I mean, I was doing all drop sets for every lift for like a year straight. I was making pretty reasonable gains. But right now, I think straight sets are kind of the way to go for me. So maybe just change it up. If your straight sets are too like brutish and you're just moving the weight around, that can definitely kind of affect your pump. Just because if you really get into the stretch on some of these sets, I'm not saying all of them, but like if you're doing a pec fly and you're just throwing the shit around, you're not going to get the benefit of it. Something like those dumbbell bench sets I was doing earlier, those I was really trying to be kind of brutish with, like within reason, of course, but I wasn't going insanely slow. But with those flies at the end, I kind of was because I was really trying to stretch every kind of fiber. So if what you're doing isn't working, just change it up. That's my tip there. Let's get a few more. Do you enjoy watching or playing any sports? And if so, who are your teams? Uh, well, of course, I'm going to support OSU anytime I see OSU playing. But for the most part, I don't dive too deep into anything. I'm not like a crazy UFC guy, but if I see like top 5 craziest power slap compilation on my feed, I'm probably going to click it just because it's fucking crazy. But, just whatever. Getting into golf a little more, not like deep, but my brother golfs. My dad really loves golf. So if we're like all in the living room watching it, I can sit down and kind of tune in. But nothing too crazy there. Oh, oyster. Do you plan to do a meet and greet in a different country? And if you have, which one would you like to go to? None planned. That'll be kind of later. But yeah, Sam Sulek World Tour 2025. Maybe not specifically, but no, that'd be cool. I mean, You gotta remember, I'm used to the States, but there's fucking viewers from all over the place. I see the comments where it's like, love from India, love from Jamaica, love from Russia, and just everywhere else. Yeah, I'll be around. Just give me some time. That was from user dash KH7CC second 3C. Let's get a couple more in here. Owen Welds, how much does the cat bench? Unknown. Potentially 1,000 pounds. But we'll never know. You know, he doesn't need to show off his strength like that. He's humble. Good question though. If a genie granted you 3 wishes, which would you pick? A bigger chest, a bigger back, or bigger calves? From KYOL 420. How much bigger though? You know, because it's like I want a bigger chest right now. So I'd probably pick a bigger chest, but it's like, is it gonna be big in a completely like non-normal way to the point where it's like fucking huge? I mean, like who knows, right? But if it gets too big, then I'm gonna be totally out of proportion, and I'll have to not do chest for like years or so. So it's like if I could get an extra boost, I would say chest. Maybe calves though. I don't know. I wouldn't mind some bigger calves too. Chest or calves? It's a toss-up. I have to flip a coin on that one. Chillin' Frank, what are some collabs that you'd like to do in the future? Fucking everybody. Every top kind of character. All sorts of I don't want to name drop anybody specifically. Just because I can't list off the whole list. But no, man, you gotta remember, I'm not just some like guy who just started posting shit out of nowhere. I've been watching everybody for like the last 6 years since I've been working out. You know, I mean, I should really start making some questions now so that whenever I do kind of do something, I've got some real sort of topics to get into. Well, I'm I'm sure I'll like move the suction cup from the windshield right to the middle, and then the car talk will turn into a fucking car convo. But no, that'll happen. Just give it some more time. Give it some more time. I see. W photo Lamau. Seems like your cats are also in a bulk. From FOFE Cog Games. You know, technically you're right. Technically you're fucking right. Rocky, the black one, he was real kind of skinny when we got him. So I think he was like maybe not 7 pounds, but like 8 pounds. Like you can really kind of feel his ribs. So we've got him on 300 calories per day. That's a surplus for him. So he's bulking up a little bit. We need him to bulk up to like probably 10, 11 pounds. Will be pretty natural for him because he's kind of a big cat. We think he's got some Maine Coon in him. He's got the ears, he's got the really big face and really big paws. So he needs to gain some weight too, but not too much. Right? Like I was just saying, you want to gain weight, but you don't want to put on too much fat tissue. You know, you got to stay in the sweet spot. That's a good one. That's a good one. Let's see. Will you still build muscle? Will you still build muscle efficiently if you're going to failure, but your failure is 3 reps? Asks the Irish Confederate. Interesting combination there. But probably I wouldn't want to do it because I don't know. It gets a little bit different. If you're more of a power lifter character, then that could make more sense because that's what your training is based around. You know, like doing 3 RMs, 5 RMs, 2 RMs, little things like that. But in a bodybuilding sense, with all this isolation work, I would never even want to get under a weight that I can only do for 3 reps on bench or for 3 reps on a dumbbell curl. You know, so um, if they're good reps and you don't hurt yourself, then I guess yes. But I think 3 reps is far below the means of like reasonable volume where you're kind of in the fucking danger zone. And it's just a little bit too little, I think, for kind of hypertrophy. So for your power stuff, you know, if you're doing crazy deadlifts, legitimate squats, bench, if you're actually like trained and you're doing low reps consistently, like if I try to do a 1 rep max on bench, I can almost guarantee I would rip both my pecs off. Now, maybe I'm just being extra crazy, like extra freaked out about it, but I'm used to like 8 reps minimum. And that's a weight which is considerably lower than I could potentially like maximally output. But since I'm not used to that kind of training, I would never even want to do it. For one thing, because it's not going to do me any good, but also, dude, We've all seen Larry Wheels collabs, and be a little bit careful. Use weights that are within your means. So that's my thoughts there. Maybe up it, but as long as you don't hurt yourself, maybe. I'll give you a maybe there. You're not going to catch me do any 3-rep sets. That's my little. That's my question there. Addison Shirley, we're getting close to the end here, but how do you shock your muscles? Change it up. Do different movements, do different styles, do different reps. Sometimes I was, if you look back a couple chest days ago, I was doing Smith bench where real slow, like kind of a Jared Feather style, like the reps look like this. It's like down slow, deep stretch, like kind of shit like that. And then today with the dumbbell, much kind of quicker paced, really kind of burning out in that way. Just make sure no one lift is exactly the same as the last one. Change up your movements, throw some drop sets in there and some tempo reps. That'll be good. But the most important thing to shock the muscle isn't the exact style of the set. It's just the intensity that you bring to it. If somebody only had a fucking incline Smith machine to do chest workouts with, as long as they went nuts, I'm sure they'd build a solid chest. So make sure you've actually got the voltage in your system to shock it. And then hit it from different angles too. Opinions on neck training from HRVOJE28. If you need a thicker neck training will work. Neck training will work. If you get the iron neck and you sit on the cable with your headgear and you do some of these and you do some of these and some of these, it will work. It will thicken up your neck. Because you got a lot of muscle in here. Anybody that's into fucking fighting sports, then you would know, because you want all this to be nice and tough so that you don't get completely rocked if somebody hits you with a left hook or something. But if you need a thicker neck, and I've seen guys where, like, I've got a weird sense for it now, because when you really get into something, you get hypersensitive about it. But I can kind of look at people, and I'm not like judging anybody, like oh, look at that guy. But if something on their kind of anatomy is a little bit out of whack, like, it'll kind of stick out. Like somebody showed me a picture of somebody and said, this guy's kind of, I looked at him and said, yeah, his knees are too low. And it was like an immediate eureka moment. So if your neck's a little bit on the thinner side, you don't need much. If you had a 15-pound dumbbell at home, you could just fucking sit on the ground, balance it on your forehead, hold it on the side. That will work. So anybody rocking kind of a pencil neck, not to dog on you, but if you are, doing some neck training in private could potentially make some gains for you. Now, you might stick out if you do it at your public gym, so maybe, I don't know. I've done it before, but kind of just for the novelty of it. That's funny, though. Freak Rich Steiner, will you marry me? 5'7", 130-pound twink. I don't, I don't know about all that. That's a good one. All right, last one. Nate Dog 42. Are hot dogs really made of dogs? I would hope not. I would friggin' hope not, because I've been slamming some hot dogs on a reasonable occasion. Got some animal fats, protein quality. I wouldn't say it's the same as a ribeye. So sometimes if it says 12 grams of protein, I might only count it as 6. But I think that's all. I'll do a few more of these. I'll do a few more of these a little bit more often. I like this little back and forth. But I will see you tomorrow for a nasty back day. So go get some rest and eat something.